more or less always stay pretty nervous when it comes to live streams, and it's the first time I'm doing this one. So we'll give everybody a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so, yeah, like more or less, like I said, not used to going live just off my phone, but I got somebody who was actually interested, and someone called me and asked me what I invest in. Now, that was something pretty interesting for me. Um, Let me know if you can hear me. Throw up a one or something in the chat. I really don't know how this works, so we're going to see how it goes. I don't even know how to view the chat while I'm on this thing, but let me see. Okay, there we go. Ah, cool, cool. All right, good looking out. Now, the main thing we're going to talk about today is prepping on a budget. What's going on with you? Cootie Mayo, Opie Mihai, everybody coming in. Definitely thank y'all, for stopping in. Much appreciated. But I got people who ask me about prepping on a budget, and they say you can't prep with 20 bucks. You can't prep with 30 bucks. You can't prep with $5, stuff like that, like small amounts of money. So I was challenged. I got a challenge to see what I could do and how much I could prep with $20. Just something simple. So the buying power of a $20 bill. Currently, with the economy, everything going on, things are looking a little rough right now. Things are looking bleak. People are getting nervous. So, as far as being preppers, being able to prepare for certain things, this is what we're going to get into. So, prepping on the dime. I don't know how many people are preppers, but I hope we're all getting ready. So, we're going to keep it pushing. I know I didn't announce this one, but my bad. With the current economic situation, we're getting a lot of panic buying. We saw the same thing when Corona first hit. Now, when Corona hit, everybody bought up toilet paper, they bought up hand sanitizers, they bought up sanitizing wipes, they bought up all that other good stuff. And, a lot of that stuff, what is valuable to you? Not just to you, what's valuable for your survival? Will you actually take the time to sit down and budget yourself out, figure out what you need, figure out what your wants are, start to be able to prioritize things? And it was funny because I do get people who tell me you can't prep on a budget. So I came here today just to show y'all. I just came back, and this is basically Dollar General prepping. I'm not even going to lie. What I do is I just go in there, I take the allotted amount. People want to make a bet, let's get with it. But in the future, we don't know what the currency is going to be like. People are investing in gold, people are investing in stocks and cryptocurrency, but we have no idea how long that's going to be around for. That's the cold hard reality of things. So you do have people who are investing in stocks, but that is not tangible. You can't feel it. I don't knock stocks at all. I don't knock gold and silver, but actual things you can feel. Now, these aren't things that can really be used in a certain setting. Uh, Say, for instance, if the economy was to collapse tomorrow, what would you do with the stocks, with your gold, with your silver? What would be the purchasing power, especially with inflation and the way things are going? So when I prep, I learned to prep for things that can be used while you're bartering. The bartering system will have to be reintroduced at some point. And I'm just saying, hypothetically, if there was something to go on and say that, things were to collapse. Yeah, exactly. The best things to have are skills. You know, we are currently in an economy, and we are currently in a world that is packed with uncertainty. And I'm just going to be real with people, and I'm not doing that to fear monger or anything else. With all the stimulus coming out, the money has to come from somewhere and has to go back to somewhere. And then you look up the cost of inflation. You look at what's all going on. Um, yeah, actually, I do store seeds. I do farming methods. I will be answering questions, and I do get off topic. That's one of my things. Um, but yeah, I raise my own chickens. During the summertime, I raise my own fish. I currently have 16 different fruit trees out in the backyard. And that is pretty much, what I do. I prepare, I garden, etc. But my bad. Back to what I was saying. When you look at the economy and what's going on, of course, food, water, and shelter. Those are three main things that you need for life. You also have to understand there are other things that people want, commodities that can be bartered for. When you look at, people don't understand how firewood, you need firewood. Firewood helps you cook, it'll help you purify your water. And if they shut off the gas tomorrow, what are you going to do as far as heat? How are you going to heat your house? How are you going to cook meals for your family? How are you going to have that hot food and those comforts? Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. You're perfectly fine. If you feel like asking questions, please feel free. Everyone who knows and sees me goes live knows that I have, we'll say, the attention span of a goldfish. So I tend to jump from topic to topic and try to answer things as they come up, only because I will not remember. Hey, Rob, peace and blessings to you, sir. Our Mother's Way, greatly appreciated. Different ones. As it pops up, I'll give y'all a shout. But yeah, prepping on a budget and prepping on a dime, it's, people think it's more difficult than what it really is. So what I began to do was I began to buy things that I figured people would like to barter. Now, when we saw what happened when the pandemic first arose, people got terrified. Like I said, they bought up all the hand sanitizer, they bought up liquid soap, they bought up body wash, they bought up bleach, toilet paper. We couldn't find anything on the shelves. It was amazing. So when people ask me what currencies that I actually invest in, I'll show you. Now this, try not to laugh either, because this is real. I invest in things that people will want. In a bartering system, of course, there will be firewood, there will be food, water, shelter, there will be ammunition. People will want ammunition. People will want different things, but people will want commodities. People will want toilet paper. People will want, well, for instance, here's my gold and here's my silver. Soap, believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy, but just think about it for a second. Stocks, bonds, gold, cryptocurrency. People are investing in things that aren't necessarily tangible, that they can't feel in their own hands. So once you start investing in things that you could use to barter, commodities that people want, generally the majority of the time. Now that, oh, peace to you two Glocks, peace to you Loot. Like I said, sorry, this is mobile, so I'm still not hip to this. But realistically looking, what would you trade in an SHTF situation for a bar of soap? What would you trade for toothpaste? Rain poncho, disinfectant spray. I saw people selling hand sanitizer for $5, and it was in nothing but a small bag. And that was just because people were terrified of the pandemic. People were selling, and this is crazy, people were actually selling bottles of hand sanitizer, $3, $1 bottles of hand sanitizer. They were selling it for massive amounts. So in this challenge, that's what people, I was challenged to prep for $20. So that's what the basis of this is. Prepping on $1. Now let's go ahead and get to it and see what the buying power of a $20 bill is. Hey, peace to you, brother Wanagi. Many blessings and good looking out. Okay, let me see. Is she be indigenous? Good looking out. Thanks for shooting in. So now we're going to get to the buying power of $20. I'm going to show you what I purchased for $20. This may not seem all extravagant, but I want you to understand, in a bartering system, this is very important. Now, of course, you can get your seeds, but I'm, believe me, I'm stockpiled on seeds. I get my seeds from My Patriot Supply. Wonderful place. Oh, Tecumseh 432. Peace to you, many blessings. Oh, what's good, Wolf? That's you. I had to see by the logo. But yeah, if you look at what you can buy, just that you can barter with. Now I'm going to ask a general question. So if everything broke down tomorrow, what would you trade for this? A bar of soap. I know that sounds crazy, but I want you to think about it for 2 seconds. That soap right there is how you get clean. Of course, that soap is how you're going to wash things. That soap, what fruits or vegetables would you trade? Because soap isn't necessarily a naturally occurring thing. It takes a process in order to make it. You have to get different things, lye, etc. So let's look at what else that people want. And once again, this is a $20 budget. I did not go over $20. Now let's see what I got. Okay. Now, this isn't the stuff that I use on, for instance, a day-to-day, because I go with all natural. Generally, when I use my soaps, they're all natural. My deodorants are all natural. My toothpaste is all natural. It's called Flying Lotus. I mean, it's, my bad, Sacred Lotus. So, looking at these things, let's see what people would trade. And this is just real. You know, you go ahead and tell me what you would trade for it, and we'll work it out. So, you have food, you have water, you have shelter, but you don't have toothpaste. This is $1. Now, most people, you want to know, they want to keep up with their dental hygiene, because the commodities, these are comforts that people generally have. So when you look, if you look at what people are going to buy, what people are going to purchase, and what people are going to do, you have to understand, in the collapse of economy, the first thing people go to is comforts that they previously had. In every post-apocalyptic movie, 99% of those movies, even though they may be unrealistic, people look for the commodities. They want something that brings them back. They want something that takes them back to a means of life that is simple, that makes them feel like things didn't change, that makes them feel like life didn't change in general. So what they're going to look for is they're going to look for specific things that give them comfort. Now, that is where this kind of comes into play, as far as prepping, etc. Now, if there's an abundance of food, what would people trade for a toothpaste? I stock up on that. Soap, I generally have, okay, GMO soap, just water. Okay, continue with that. Now, you also have to look at and understand the reality of, even though you have no GMO soap, where's your clean water coming from? So that's why certain things come into play when you use soaps, etc. In an SHTF situation, people have to understand that the economy has literally broken down. Your clean water is gone. Your food sources you're going to have to hunt for. You won't have the commodities as saying being able to turn on your tap and be able to get clean water. Also, you have to look at how many rivers are contaminated. You have to look at your water sources. So there's a lot of things all around when it comes to a survival situation, and that's how, people go. Oh, when it comes to information, this is my book. I like this, The Lost Ways. Wonderful book. I'd recommend you get it. If you don't have it, get it when you can. Yeah, exactly. I stockpiled up, and I got the filters too. Those things were wonderful. Now, people will be unprepared. That's going to be second nature. But don't think it's expensive to prep. Like I said, the bartering system works. Let me continue, because I will get lost again. But thank you for all the comments. It definitely helps, and it keeps me motivated as far as getting into, oh, sorry. The author of this one is, okay, this 4th edition. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't mean to get off track. Claude Davis. Yeah, this is The Lost Ways by Claude Davis. So check that one out. Now, we first started off with, all right, now I'm gonna have to switch up things. Now, elastic bandages. If you get injured, something happens, a simple $1, an elastic bandage. You need to brace something, etc., etc. So, we get toothpaste. People will barter a lot for toothpaste. Don't believe that it won't happen. People will barter a lot for toothpaste. We have to realize that most people aren't going to be preppers. I'm not saying take advantage of them, but if you can barter, barter. It's what it is. If you can barter some form of work, even if you have skills, still look into grabbing stuff like this. So we got toothpaste, we have your bandages, 3 pack of soap, you know, because you will need to get clean. You will need to keep yourself clean in a post-apocalyptic situation. Also, I prefer bar soap over body wash only because body wash leaves a scent. And if you're familiar with picking up people's scent, everyone has a different scent. Um, each individual has a different scent and you can pick up on it. It's not hard to pick up on. You can smell what a person, or you can pick up a scent. You can grab a lot of different things from individuals. So we just kind of run with that. Um, Now, we're going to have to look at bandages. So you get your band-aids, your bandages, your gauze. Deodorant. Now, let's be honest. What would people trade for deodorant when stuff hit the fan? Exactly. People got to wash their butts. People think it's funny, which, don't get me wrong, there is a comical side to prepping, but me, I'm more about the whole overall preparedness. But deodorant. I use natural deodorant, but for bartering, this works perfectly fine for $1. What would people trade for deodorant? What would people trade to cover up their scent? Okay. Now, this went for high dollar as soon as everything hit. There. Disinfectant spray. Did people see what happens? Yes, Metallic Maniac, making your own is better. Now, when you say making your own is better, we're going to have to figure out how to make your own. Now, where are you going to harvest the lye from? What type of fats are you going to use? Are you going to use animal fats? Are you going to use specific proteins? There are steps, because you can buy a soap making kit today, but in nature, it's a lot harder to actually make your soaps and things from nature. Now, I know you can use sand in order to scrub your body, but the problem is, I live in Ohio. Where am I going to find sand? So when I look at the bartering system, people have to equate, and this isn't just these are common questions. Please feel free to ask any questions you want, because I will let you know from my standpoint as a prepper, there are certain things that are impossibilities for me. There are specific things that they're not impossible, but they're going to be harder to obtain. For instance, most people say, oh, become a vegetarian, become a vegan. I live in Ohio. It's 23 degrees right now. So where my main food source is going to have to be fish and meat, only because most of the vegetation dies. And after so long, things do mold. So without refrigeration, what are we to do? You can refrigerate things in the winter, of course, being outside, but it's going to be hard for your plants. They lose nutritional value when frozen and then reheated. That's something that, that's why most people tell you not to buy frozen vegetables, because you lose most of the nutritional value. I was also taught to eat for the season. So that's just on different people. And there goes that goldfish kicking back in. So let me get back to, okay. Now, people will trade canned goods and things for toothbrushes. Mouthwash. Another thing, all this stuff just runs $1, and this stuff can be used as a disinfectant. Believe it or not, if you dilute it, it can be used as a cleaner. Oh, more soap. You can buy different soaps, so you don't have to buy one specific brand. I normally, like I said, due to the situation, I have invested in soaps. I go out generally to Sam's Club. I go out to Costco, different places. They have 22 packs of soap, 22 bars of soap for $8. I've currently stored over 2,000 bars of soap. Please don't laugh at me. But I go weekly and I just spend a couple bucks, when I get my check after working. I go and I pick up certain things for prepping. Oh, Star Duster, definitely. Hey, Star Duster, you gonna have to I'm gonna have to do the whole soap thing. I just have to learn how to do it all natural from scratch. That's the only thing. Yes, rubbing alcohol. Believe it or not, when you get into what people would trade, and I'm just basing this off of what we saw in the pandemic. People could look at it different ways. People were giving their left arm for sanitizing wipes. Like literally, people were giving their left arm for sanitizing wipes. And that's what scared me. I had never seen, as far as the pandemic goes, I had never seen people react so terrified. So many people were so unprepared that it took me yeah, I probably will. I'm not gonna lie, we'll talk about sense and we'll talk about different stuff later. But, you know, and that's where it kind of threw me off, was I had never seen the reaction. When you went to the stores, you saw empty shelves, canned goods. Um, it amazed me how quickly that everything ran out of the stores. It amazed me how fast that people panicked and panic bought anything they could, and they weren't prepped. But yet, I had already stored, just a little insight into my prepping. I had already stored 3,000 pounds of rice. It's overkill, don't get me wrong, but my storage isn't just for me. If somebody is hungry, cold, or in need, or they have children, hopefully I can help them on the way. And hopefully, that does help people. So being able to give them a bag of rice or give them some beans and have them take it on their way, that would initially help them, because I'm not going to say, oh, you can just stay here, but I want to help people to be able to help themselves. So I've already stored up 3,000 pounds of rice, white rice and jasmine rice. I've already stored up another 2,000 pounds of beans. I've got water storage tanks, 375-gallon totes. I've got multiple 55-gallon totes for storing and catching rainwater, water purification, and then the things I do, the when I do the reviews, of course, these are things that I purchase myself. So, um, yeah, pretty much till 2022. And also, now when I store my rice, I do store my rice in Mylar bags. What that does is I pull all of the oxygen out of the bags. And I think I posted a picture up previously, but I'll be doing another storage video for how to store rice in Mylar bags. And I will be storing it and showing you how to pull the oxygen out, how many oxygen absorbers to use per pound. So we'll be doing that. But also, still, I keep getting off topic again. But once we do this, I'll be more open to questions. Now, everybody knows, and this one's gonna make y'all laugh. If it doesn't, whatever, my bad. But everybody knows people hate to be ashy. Everyone knows you hate to be ashy. Don't nobody want to be ashy in the apocalypse, let's be honest. So for $1, you get lotion. This is things that people will neglect. Being in the north, it gets cold up here. And when it gets cold and that wind whips, you get ashy quick. So trust me, you don't know, because people are very vain. They will literally, I don't know what a person would trade for lotion when they ashy, but trust me, it's going to happen. I'm going to find out during the apocalypse. I've stocked up. I got about 100 of these. I'm not even going to lie. So my thing is to look at it like, I look at it not as necessarily take advantage of people, but I look at it as being able to help people. And also, ibuprofen. Don't get me wrong, there's many natural painkillers, but not a lot of people know how to use them. No, not many people know how to make a tincture out of dandelion root. People don't know how to make different tinctures out of different things. And now let's continue. What else do we got here? Mind you, there we go. That was that oh so sacred stuff that people were hoarding. Hand sanitizer. I don't really hoard hand sanitizer only because I got soap. But, you know, if you're ever out, whole 9 yards, hey, hand sanitizer. Can't knock it. Now, mind you, only doing this for 20 bucks. Now, if you look at it, diamond braided paracord. This is just a decent rope, 20 bucks. You know, just a single dollar. Many people forget how much. Um, Actually, that's an assumption. Bartering will be illegal because everything goes underground. So therefore, you know, you got to kind of watch it. We don't know what the future holds, neither do I, but I will admit that there are some things that will throw me off. Okay, sorry. Peace to everybody in the chat, still learning this whole finger thing and all that good stuff. Yes, I actually have that Star Duster. I have tree cutting wire, and is anybody familiar with the portable chainsaw? It's literally a 38-inch chainsaw chain with 2 handles, and that thing it cuts through wood like butter. Okay, now, once again, the things I stock up on are just main commodities that people will want. A lot of people want this. Oh, Redbird, what's going on with you, brother? Good to see you here. Sylvia Williams, good to see you. The majority of the stuff that I stock up are going to be commodities. Now, I want to talk about something that people will forget. Now, we got a lot of people who know about prepping, but how many people are hunters? Give me a 1 if you're a hunter. Just got to ask. Because I'm going to get into a point that I really do want to point out to people. Blazer 71, peace to you. Now we're going to talk about scents and smell. Hobart, what's good, sis? Always good to see. All right, Wanagi, he hunt, you know. Let's see who else hunts. Okay, cool. Shamika Smith, okay. We got another hunter, 2 Glocks hunts. Now, any good hunter knows, and let's just be honest here, I might get called weird stuff for this one, but every good hunter knows the smell of blood. Every good hunter knows the smell of blood. Also, every good hunter knows you have to mask your scent. So, my bad, eating candy. Masking your scent is very important when you're out in the wild. Also, that's going to be when you're being the gray man, masking your scent, figuring out how to get rid of your scent, especially in a stuff hits the fan situation. Now, if we look at it from the standpoint of what's going to happen versus what has already happened, if we believe that during an apocalypse, people will move, and as people move, animals will move into these houses. It's not like people are going to leave their doors unlocked. Each of these houses will become a cave for an animal if it's unoccupied. So ultimately, don't want to get off the topic, but the scent and the smell. The scent and the smell of a person is easy to pick up. We remember scents or smells from childhood. Do you remember like your grandma's perfume or your grandfather's cologne? Do you remember small things like that? Those are things that ingrain into the psyche. Those scents are something you never forget. You never forget those smells. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because in a stuff hits the fan situation, your scent is something you're going to have to cover up. Now, all the things that I brought up for bartering are strictly for bartering purposes. You know, soap, hand sanitizer, all that other good stuff, and bartering on a dime. Now, as a hunter, you know that you're going to have to cover your scent. You understand that the scent of different people, there is a scent of fear. Once you get in tune with hunting, you can smell fear. You can smell, when you're out in that open air, just a gust of wind can carry your scent towards the deer or whatever animal you're hunting, and that will ultimately, it'll be able to pick you up. Hold on, I gotta plug in my charger. Sorry about that. Let me pop that in there. Okay. Now, when you're hunting deer or hunting any other animal, You have to cover your scent and cover your tracks. But just with humans, don't believe that I'm just talking about, animals. I'm talking about humans too. Humans can pick up a scent. Humans can pick up your smell. They can pick up different things off of you. So don't think in the apocalypse when people were smelling horrible and running around and they're unbathed, you're going to walk up smelling like, Dove soap and, lavender body wash. That's probably the quickest way to get you followed because people will pick up your scent and they will figure out that you have something. In order to become the gray man, you have to blend in with your surroundings. So if people are wearing camo, you put on camo. If people are dirty, you rub dirt on yourself. It doesn't mean you don't have to maintain and stay clean in your own surroundings. But when you go out, you have to be exactly like everyone else is. The simplest things will get you noticed. Also, covering up your size. Covering up your size, covering up how big you are, how small you are, that also makes a big difference. Wearing clothes that are overly baggy because it'll cover up if you're cut and you're real big, people are going to know that either A, you're eating good, B, you have food. Oh, Ron Bird, hey, I'm Redbird. I love them knives. I'm telling you, they're great blades. But if you look at a person's size, if you look at how persons eat, how a person manages, a person who has a massive amount of muscle is going to be somebody that people declare a threat. They may avoid you, but that doesn't mean they won't get together in groups and try and overtake you for what you have. So hiding yourself and blending in is something that is a necessity. Now, I know I talk about prepping on a dime, but prepping on a dime isn't necessarily, it helps with our odds and ends, but it also helps with others. Now, when I say this, I mean your prepping stuff and your bartering tools need to be different. The only reason I say that is because most people know that if you bathe with body wash, it's going to leave a scent. But yet, if you bathe with an unscented soap, you're clean, but it doesn't leave a scent. So that's something that really does help out where you can maintain the cleanliness that you feel that you need, but also you don't have to give off a scent. You don't have to give off anything like that that can get you tracked. Also, people assume, and I'm going to kind of go in real quick. Hope y'all don't mind. People assume we're going to have commodities and the stuff hit the fan situation. Like, please give that up. Please stop. Like, um, please, people, stop thinking you're going to have running water. Stop thinking you're going to have refrigeration. In the case of an EMP, you won't have electricity. Electricity runs those pumps. You're going to have to fend for yourself. And this isn't to say anything as a scare tactic, or it may never even happen. But I'd rather have and not need than need and not have. So that was something that was very important to learn because when the pandemic hit, I had already stocked up on toilet paper. I had stocked up on hand sanitizer. I had stocked up on soap. So when people were running, I literally was walking through the stores buying odds and ends that nobody else was grabbing. I had the ability to walk into a store and I wasn't worried and I wasn't scampering and running and doing all the other things everyone else was. I wasn't panic buying. I went in the store and while people were fighting over toilet paper, I was getting stuff for dinner that night. So people need to have a realistic look on, people need to have a realistic look on what, okay, metallic maniac hoarders or traders. Okay, I like that mentality. I really do. Don't work here. I'm sorry. Doesn't work. You could go all about that all you want. But you talk about hoarders or traders, but you have to remember, I saw you talk biblical earlier. So when you talk biblical, what happened when didn't they actually have to set up for 7 years when the dream came and Daniel told about the dream and it told them to gather food for 7 years? So don't talk about hoarding and prepping, bro. It's kind of that simple. There's a thing where you have to understand you can't make a biblical reference without referencing something else. But I like the way you rock though. Um, Now, yeah, okay, cool. You're a purger. But anyways, not to divert my attention, because that one's funny. I like that one. That one's funny. Um, Moderators, handle your business. But ultimately, what I'm saying is, there's in a world without rule of law, people will eventually get back together. People will eventually get to know on each other. People will eventually begin to share. But until that time, there's going to be a panic at first. After the panic is there, people will eventually calm and enjoy certain things. They'll learn how to, you will have your marauders, but you will have peaceful people. By saying everyone is willing to purge and go out there and do all those things, you're fooling yourself, because there are people who want to help others. There are people who want to help. You know, Sis always talks about, Empress Hobart always talks about helping the babies. There are people who want to help the children. There are people who want to help the less fortunate. You know, there are people who do want to help. So that's the thing. Just because individuals, good looking out, just because individuals may look a certain way, or you may think they do a certain thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that people are all out for themselves. The problem is making an assumption. You know that old saying. So it's not the fact that individual hoards, but you have people who want to get out there and help the babies. Now let's be honest. Let's be for real. You have a newborn infant. Someone has a newborn baby. Yes, Shamika, coloring books and puzzles for the kids. Definitely, because people have to keep their minds occupied in a stuff hit the fan situation. Now, say for instance, individuals, and I'm just going to mention this and say this for real. You have a newborn baby. If you don't have a way to clean that child with soap and water, how quickly does the infant mortality rate go up? And what is the survival rate of that infant? Even though prior we had good survival rates, but in the current situation with contaminated food and contaminated water, what do you believe the survival rate of that infant is into adulthood? So think about that for a second. That's why I'm saying these tools are for bartering. What do you suggest for those without firearms? Okay, those without firearms, uh, firearms are good, but ultimately firearms are something that can be, you can go around firearms. Firearms give away the location of the individual, and it is nice to have, but once you let off a shot, there are people who, let me cut these lights on. There are people who, as far as individuals, listen for the shot. Now get crossbows, recurve bows. Bows definitely work. A lot of people invest in pellet rifles. They have pellet rifles that are 22. These aren't going to, well, some of them will kill a human, but you can hunt small game with these. Uh, I definitely am real big on pellet rifles. Now, you also have people, and for those, you have to check your state laws, because some states do let people have, if you have prior convictions, black powder guns. But please check your state laws. Do not take this for gospel. Now, um, you have to use the knowledge that you're given. You have to use the knowledge that, you know, you're going to have to use this knowledge. And the only reason I press this as a prepper, and even coming on here live and talking to people as a prepper, is because ultimately, you know, self-preservation is good, and people do self-preservation, but also there needs to be a point where people understand that preserving others and showing kindness and love and being able to give someone maybe a bar of soap or give someone something ultimately changes that individual's life. Now, let's not get into, you know, I actually thank you for making that comment about hoarders and everything else, because let's get into that. Like I said, you do have people who love the children. You do have people who love the babies. You have people who are willing to help people. Now, let's look at that from a realistic standpoint. What difference can you make in a person's life if you're able to give them something that they don't have access to? What about that pound of rice? I got 3,000 pounds of rice. What if I can give someone a pound of rice and they feed that to their infant? How does that change their day or change their life? Maybe it could sustain them for a little longer so they can go hunt their own food. So there's a difference between an individual who is a hoarder and there's a helper. There's a person who stocks up versus a person who wants to do things for themselves. So not all preppers are always people who want to do things for themselves. Sometimes people prepare for people who will not have out of love. Ever think about that? Now that's a question. Not all preppers, when I say barter, there are certain things that I mean by bartering. About there are different skills that I may not have that you may have. And if I have a bar of soap and you need it, then cool. If I have toothpaste and you need it, cool. If I have lotion and all these other good things, that's all good. And that's where preppers we have to come in, and we don't monopolize an area. We don't take things over and grab everything for ourselves. The bartering tools that we use can help other people. And if you're in it for yourself, then yes, I can agree. That is a bad thing. If you're in it for self-preservation and only for greed, yeah, I recommend staying away from that. Let me cut these and cut these on. Um, so that's my thing. That's where I give props to different ones who come out here and they put in the word for the babies. They put in the ones for the future generations. Because thinking on a day-to-day basis doesn't let me think 7 generations ahead. How can I look forward to the future if I don't sit there and take care of what's now? If I don't implant and I don't put in the knowledge into these children how to preserve, how to barter, how to look at different things, then what type of survival will they have? Because I don't believe the world's going to break into a world without rule of law, Mad Max type situation. Ultimately, because the hearts, you have people who have evil hearts, but you have just as many people who have good hearts. You have just as many people who sometimes you can shake their hand, or sometimes you can give them a friendly pat on the back, or even friendly words that could change their life. And we've all had that happen. So when I say that, you could tell the standpoint of a person based off of what they do and how they want to do things. So when I came on here, I initially came on here talking about bargain shopping and bartering, but let's get into the reality of the situation. I don't necessarily think or believe that everyone is completely hateful. You have people with hate in their heart, but that's based off of the situations that they've gone through in life. And maybe they haven't been shown that kind of kindness or that kind of love in order to change them for the better. But understanding that kindness and love in that one drop of water in an ocean, it makes a ripple. Now, if you make a ripple and that ripple spreads out and you spread nothing but love and peace in that ripple can turn into a tidal wave of love, peace, and blessings to different people. It can affect every single drop of water in that ocean. The same thing with fire. If you look at fire in the wrong hands can burn down acres, and we've seen it. We've seen it with the wildfires. But a controlled fire can cook food, can warm up babies, it can warm the hearts of the people around. It can be something that is something beautiful where people can sit down and tell stories by a campfire. So those things that can be destructive can also be used in loving manners if put in the right hands. So that's what I do want to talk about. That's my basis. I help people prep, not only to help people prep, but to help people help others. Because if I have food and I have water and I have shelter, then that means I don't have to go out into the world. I don't fear, and I want everyone to listen very closely to what I'm saying because I'm being blatantly honest. I don't fear the world after it collapses. I fear what I'll become if I'm not prepared after the world collapses. People don't understand how blessed and fortunate we are. We have many commodities, but do you know the monster you will become if you don't have things? And this is just the reality of the situation. If you hear a baby crying, or God forbid it's your child, most high forbid it's your child. Say your child is crying and your child is starving. What would you do to feed that child? So let's talk, we're not going to get into that because that becomes a touchy subject for individuals. But that's why prepping comes in handy. It's not something that, oh, you're a hoarder or anything else. No, it makes sure that you're able to keep your family safe and keep yourself safe so you don't have to leave. If I have to leave, and I'm just going to be honest, there's people out there nobody wants to run into, especially a mother trying to protect her children or a father trying to feed his baby. Those are the most lethal people you can come across. It's not the person who's out there trying to start stuff, it's the mother who wants to feed her baby. It's the father who knows he has to go home and feed infants. Those people will kill you. Understand, they may have a kind heart. Those are the people who will kill you. If it comes between your survival and their child survival trumps every time. You will be killed. So I mean that with every fiber in my body. I refuse to let my children starve. So I prep so my children don't have to starve. Exactly. The ones looking for trouble find it fast. The ones who avoid trouble are the ones who play the background, and they're able to do, good things. They're able to help each other. I can't listen. I can't let a child starve. I don't know. So I do stock and I do prep, like I said, not only for myself. This kind of turned into something a little different, so I apologize to everybody. But when we're speaking on prepping and how people prep and the different ideas on preppers, let's, really get down to it, and let's just talk about, nobody's going to let their kids starve. Nobody's going to sit there and let another child starve. That'll show the true heart of people. So if I got it and you have it, prep for it. And that's the way I look at things. So if people wonder why I prep, this actually became a why I prep thing rather than the initial $20 prepping video. um, yeah, I'll definitely check it. But yeah, as far as like this becoming a prepping video, this became why I prep, and I do want people to understand why I do prep. I prep because, you know, even after I'm gone, my fruit trees will flourish. So those who do not have food will be able to come get food. That is my ultimate dream. It's not what I have in this life, but I want to leave behind something that people can look at. Even if they don't remember my name, I don't need to go down in history for anything. But as long as people get to eat off that fruit tree, they may never remember my name, but they won't go hungry. If we do things for our claim to fame, if we do things in order to get ourselves recognized, then that's when things become selfish. So that's what I want, that's what I want to put, and I want to put like my best foot forward when it comes to that, because I can't think about now, 7 generations from now, they won't know my name, but they won't be hungry either. So that's how I look at things. Like I said, I'm sorry for jumping off subject. Prepping on the dime just made a horrible left turn. But yeah, that's why, you got to maintain some form of peace within yourself and understand that everything you go through in life has molded and shaped you to be what you are, whether you're a lover or a fighter. That has made you what you are. You have been molded and sculpted through the different things that go on in your life. And I believe there's always a purpose. There's always a purpose for each thing. So when I try to speak to people, I try to speak to people from a position of love that can help, because, I come from the turf. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I've always lived a very peaceful Indian life. No, that's not. It's not the reality of things. I come from the turf. I rep the set, the whole 9 yards. I did my thing. Ultimately, people can be changed. Don't think people can't change, or just because certain situations in life have made you cold, that doesn't mean there's not a warm heart lying underneath that just needs to be chipped away at. Some of us put up barriers against the world because we feel like the world's against us. It doesn't necessarily mean the world is against us. It just means that we have hardships. Through those hardships, we are supposed to give lessons to others. Maybe sometimes being a vessel and having a hard time or having a troubled life means that you could keep someone from that troubled life that you have. And that's kind of, wait, at least yeah, we have to make sure we prepare for that. And then also getting traits. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, we always say that, but how many of us actually enact that? How many of us actually enact that? So it takes a village to raise a child, but yet people want to mold the child in their image and their likeness. But yet I liked it when it was real slick. I learned how to be a mechanic from my dad. My uncle was a welder. Um, we have different people in the family who know how to farm. So that village, I began to learn these things, and that village made me well rounded and not just put me in one spot. Um, so yeah, basically that, yeah, like I said, that whole conversation just swerved off real bad, and I sincerely apologize. Sorry for ranting. Yeah, it's been interesting and it's been very fun. So I just want to tell people, lead with love. Not only lead with love, we'll get into the prepping thing. I will do another prepping video that'll be on prepping, not on my not on my personal outlook on preppers. But lead with love, put your best foot forward, and always, and I ask everyone, lead by example. I can't teach you how to sing if I can't bust a note. You get what I'm saying? I can't teach you how to fight if I ain't never been in a scrap. So we have to lead by example and lead with love. Because the example I set, ultimately in turn, people look at that example and then they try to emulate me, or not just me, but you or whoever looks up to you will emulate your actions. So therefore, condemning and damning actions turn into condemning and damning people who are coming up. So lead by example, put your best foot forward and lead by a good example. Understanding and comfort, learn how to be peaceful and respectful. If there's so many things that we have to install into the youth that has been lost to social media and TV. So us as humans, or us as people, um, I really want people to sit down and lead by example. Don't let the TV take your children or your cousins or your nephews or your mom. Don't let people. Okay, before I go, now I am going to mention this. Um, oh, thank you, Starduster. Thank you, Holbert. But I do want to mention this. Okay. Now, say for instance, you take a child. You take a child, and the child looks up to the adult, but the adult looks up to a TV show. So, say for instance, this parent pays no attention to this child, tells them, be quiet, do something, whatever. My show is on. The child sees that that specific show gets the parent's attention. So, what would the child, or not just the child, but what does the individual who wants the person's attention do? They emulate whatever is keeping their attention. Now, think about that. So, those parents, and I'm not just saying parents, I'm saying people in general. If you watch something and someone wants your attention, um, actually, I don't have IG. My apologies. I need to get one. Um, but if somebody wants attention and the person who they're seeking attention from is busy watching a TV show or on their phone or doing certain things, what does that individual do? They emulate what they see that gains that parents or the person who they're seeking attention from. That can go in negative and positive. So I'm not going to talk about specific shows or anything like that, but let's look at what we represent, lead by example, and also set a good example. Those things we look at are looked at by the children. Those things that we also get into are emulated by those who want to be like us. So that's why I really push the lead by example thing. Um, lead with love. There's enough hate in the world. There really is. We're divided more than ever. We're divided more than ever. People, you know, people hate a lot. There's one thing, man, I keep saying there's one thing and I keep going. Um, I was taught as a kid by my uncle and my grandpa. They would take me out and we would go to this apple orchard. And I'd go up to the apples, and they had red ones, green ones. They had beautiful, beautiful orchards, man. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So I sat down, and he would give me an apple and a knife, and I'd go ahead and peel the go ahead and peel the skin off the apple, and I'd sit down and eat. And I'm like, all right, cool, man, this is pretty slick. So I sit down, eat the apple, and my grandfather and my uncle told me they were real tribal, real heavy into their tribal beliefs, man. I mean, they love the tribe. That's one thing they did. But I sat down and I was talking, and they were like, hey, I want you to think about something. I'm like, all right, cool. What is it? He's like, that man over there. Do you know that man? I'm like, no, sir. Well, do you have a reason to dislike that man? I'm like, no, sir. Trying to be real respectful as a kid. So as we converse, he said, now the one thing you never thought about while eating that apple was who planted that apple tree. And that was a powerful message. You never think about who planted the apple tree. You're just thankful for the substance. You're thankful for the food it gives you. You're thankful for the times. Now, does it matter what the individual who looked like planted the tree, or did it ever cross my mind? No, neither did it cross theirs. So generally, we sat down and we ate the apples, whole 9 yards, but they were like, it doesn't matter who planted the tree. It's a blessing that that individual actually planted the tree. Because even if it was 500, 600 years ago, that means that we can enjoy these apples right now, whether the tree be 50 years old, 100 years old, or 200 years old. Everything in time led up to that moment that I could share with my grandfather and my uncle. So, all things in time, and we're not going to get into that conversation, not today, but all things in time come together for these specific moments. So take each moment and hold on to it and understand that it is important. You don't have to be here right now listening to me ramble, but it must be something that you were destined to hear because you are here with me. You could have been anywhere else in the world, doing anything else in the world, but you took the time to sit with me and hear my ramblings. And I thank you all. I really do thank you all, and I mean that. So, being able to understand who we are, know what we are, and be capable of, these different things, we have to maintain and continue to press and push. So, keep everything on the positive. Even though we feel negative, doesn't mean we have to be negative. And just realize you don't have to be here in this moment. This moment is to be experienced. This moment is to be enjoyed. Even times that give us stress or agony, these are times that we need to take something from it. Every story has a moral. Sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we read the entire book 5 times over and we still don't understand what we read. But it takes that one time of reading in order for it to click in our head and be like, oh man, that's what that whole story meant. I read this book 1,000 times and never realized exactly what it meant. So sometimes that is the most powerful thing. It's timing, when you're supposed to understand things, when you're supposed to know things, and when you're supposed to catch on to things. Because without your past, you can't help people in the future. And if you never experience hardship, if you never experience the rainy days, you would never know how beautiful it was to sit under the sun. And if you never experience, the pain in life, you would never know how good it feels to be hugged and brought up. So that's kind of my lesson for today. I really didn't mean to be on here this long. Like I said, I know I got twisted up, and I sincerely apologize to all those. So if you want the prepping on the dime thing, just go forward in the video. You can get more information on prepping on the dime. But just understand, you are made perfectly imperfect. Be perfect in your imperfections. You are you for a reason. Your story is not yet done. Also, your book has to be read by many. And this is something I know, uh, your book is it's a work in progress. Your movie hasn't ended, the credits haven't rolled. So try to make every scene wonderful. Let people know your book, let people know your story, because when they know your story, they can learn from your story. Don't be ashamed of who you are, the hood you come from, your background, because you can help somebody who are in the same circumstances as you become a better person. So that's why it really does take a village to raise a child, because not everybody in the village does the same job. Different people do different jobs, but we have to come together, and through our life experiences, we can make someone who is better than us. Look forward to the next generation being better than the generation before. And then that's how we have to work. So, yeah, I definitely want to thank everybody. I apologize for holding everybody up. Um, Enjoy, continue to prep. I will be coming out with more videos, and I will be going live more, just because I have a lot of thoughts, and now I know how to use my cell phone. Y'all don't make fun of me. I don't really know how to use a cell phone very well. I'm more into hunting and planting and all that other good stuff. I do solar power, but smartphones for a man that ain't smart don't work out very well. So y'all have a blessed evening. Y'all enjoy. Um, I'll definitely be seeing y'all. Take care of them babies. Like Holbert says, take care of them babies. Got to give a shout out to Cody Mayo and the rest of the people who are in here who are very supportive and showing love. I definitely want to thank you all, and I humble myself because, you know, without your kind words and the people who are pressing, you know, that's the only way that I can come up here, because I'm very nervous. But, everyone shares their strength, their courage, and their kind words with me. So I thank you all for sharing your time, your strength, your kind words. It definitely means the world to me. So thank you all. Have a blessed evening, and I hope you learn something. All right, I'll get at y'all.